The belief that they are is implicit in the self-concept, or the tendency of the self to make an image of itself. Images are perceived, not known.
They're masks, they're costumes that characterize you. You go to a fair and there are artists there who will draw caricatures of you that capture the essence but not the fullness, and usually bring a little bit of humor in, which means that it makes a little bit of fun of the flaws in you. Images are perceived, not known. Continue.
Knowledge cannot deceive, but perception can. You can perceive yourself as self-creating, but you cannot do more than believe it. You cannot make it true. And as I said before, when you finally perceive correctly, you can only be glad that you cannot. Until then, however, the belief that you can is the foundation stone in your thought system, and all your defenses are used to attack ideas that you might bring it to light. You still believe...
Let's stop right there. And all your defenses are used to attack ideas that might bring it to light. Again, the reason is because your sense of identity is derived from the imagined authority that you have brought into play so that you might succeed at replacing God by actually defining something and the definition becoming the new capital M meaning of it. The defense comes up because you do not want to lose this cherished sense of identity, this caricature of identity. Continue.
You still believe you are you are an image of your own making. Your mind is split with the Holy Spirit on this point.
I'm going to interrupt, and when you continue, I would like you to go back to the beginning of that sentence. Your mind is split with the Holy Spirit on this point. Remember that I said the Holy Spirit is your divinity held in trust while you dally with the ego? This is another way. That is another way of saying your mind is split with the Holy Spirit. Continue.
Your mind is split with the Holy Spirit on this point, and there is no resolution while you believe the one thing that is literally inconceivable. That is why you cannot create and are filled with fear about what you make.
Understand that when something is conceived, it is created. When something is imagined, all you have is a belief as a result. You have what you made up. What is conceived becomes created. Creation is God conceiving infinitely according to his nature and being. And what God conceives and is experienced as creation varies not one iota from the nature and character of God. Your function is to be the conscious experience of the conceiving, which becomes creation. The authority you are all trying so hard to have independently is an authority that waits for you to join with it, letting it be the totality of you, so that you find yourself standing always at the threshold between conception and creation, being all of both, with God, with God. And without any sense of tininess or privateness or differentness associated with it. Continue.
The mind can make the belief in separation very real and very fearful, and this belief is the devil. It is powerful, active, destructive, and clearly in opposition to God, because it literally denies his fatherhood.
And there we are again. When you claim an existence separate from God, you are denying his fatherhood. You are denying your sonship. A father without a son is not a father, and a son without a father is not a son. Let me put it this way. If a son could successfully separate himself from his father, both would cease to exist. Continue.
Look at your life and see what the devil has made, but realize that this making...
I'm going to interrupt one more time. Look at your life and see what the devil has made. See what the devil has made. No, look at your life and see what your practice of giving your own definitions to everything as being different from what God is being right there has made for you. Look what it has made up for you. It has made up for you a lot of curious, radically unique, and distorted perceptions that constantly reinforce a sense of threat and danger and persecution and vulnerability for you. Look at what the devil has made. Look at what the thought system you have been employing has made for you. When you realize that it's your very own thought system that has made it for you, and that that's all that there is to the devil, you'll realize that there is no evil power out there that may be stronger than you. And you will also recognize that the solution to the problem is a simple change of mind from making things up yourself to letting God be the only one who is making anything actually which means he is creating them. Again, waking up is transferring the mantle of authorship from your shoulders to the real author. And again, although that may seem to deprive you of something essential to your individuality, your sense of who you are, it will return you to who you really are, because you will be taking your place as son and letting Father be Father. And in that joining, you will lose all sense of difference from the Father and find that the Father is all there is of you. Your identity will be infinitely enhanced. And then when you look at your life or your experience, you will rejoice. You will exist in an ever-present conscious experience of joy. Continue.
But realize that this making will surely dissolve in the light of truth, because its foundation is a lie. Your creation by God is the only foundation that cannot be shaken, because the light is in it. Your starting point is truth, and you must return to your beginning. Much has been seen since then.
And you could say much has been made, or a lot of water has gone under the bridge with flotsam and jetsam of your imagination flowing by. Continue.
Much has been seen since then, but nothing has really happened. Yourself is still in peace, even though your mind is in conflict. You have not yet gone back far enough, and that is why you become so fearful. As you approach the beginning, you feel the fear of the destruction of your thought system
And your sense of your identity, continue,
upon you as if it were the fear of death. There is no death, but there is a belief in death.
and you must understand this so that when you are faced with this fear that arises as you get back near the beginning, you will say, I will proceed further anyway. Because all there is to this fear that is arising is nothing more than the death throes of what I have imagined myself to be and which I have invested emotion into. So don't be surprised that it's there, but also don't be deterred by it. Pardon?
What does that mean as you approach the beginning?
As you retrace your steps and you get back to the closer to the point where you made that initial step away from home and said, I would rather see it my way. As you get back closer to your essential being, your real self, because you are abandoning your insistence upon private personal authority, you will find fear increasing. That's why I've said when you get near the doors of the kingdom of heaven, you will find that the ego will create gargoyles around it to scare you off. And the point is, persist forward. Know that that will happen, and when it happens, disregard it.
So beginning just means where you begun to have a thought different than God.
Exactly. The beginning is where you started from on this fateful journey.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
In regards to what you just said, I've been experiencing more peace recently, except for certain events that seem to take place that bring up issues. And I'm wondering, are those events taking place because the ego is putting up the gargoyles, as you said, or because that is what I have to experience on my journey back to the beginning?
Each undoing of a belief has its own little gargoyles, has its own little resistances, because you're breaking a habit. And when you break a habit, there's a certain discomfort because you have become comfortable with your habits. The abandoning of a habit is the abandoning of a certain level of comfort, which you have held on to in order to avoid being out of control. What's being referred to here as, quote, as you approach the beginning, we're not talking about the little breaking of habits that occurs along the way, but as you near the end of the undoing of old beliefs and old definitions, that point where the only thing left for you to do is to abandon control completely and forever. Okay.
Can I before you move on, can I go back to the conceiving thing? I
Yes.
sort of got stuck there. Because it seems like that paragraph didn't fit in with the rest of it. Is God the only one who conceives, and does he conceive through us? And that is inspiration?
God is the only one who conceives. The fact is that you're not separate from him for him to conceive through. This us that's on its way home is an imaginary us. It's you, the divine one that you are, believing that you are some sort of independent, lost soul, lost from God, on a journey home. It's the Christ believing he or she isn't the Christ, returning to the realization that he or she is the Christ. And so this one apparently coming home is the imaginary self. But the closer you get to home, the less that imaginary self has value for you, and the more you find yourself feeling your divinity and your nature as it is derived from God. And as that happens, you desire even more fully to have God reveal to you this divine nature of your being. And so, as you move toward home, and as you yield to what the Father reveals to you about you, you become more and more undefended against experiencing your Christhood. But when you get home, there is no experience of separation and you are not something for God to conceive through, you find yourself to be the conscious experience of the movement of conception/creation. Now, you are being that at this moment. That is what you are at the moment, at this moment. You're just not paying any attention to it. You have, in effect, blocked it out because you preferred to toy with the idea of being able to be a private, personal creator on your own. And you can't possibly do that unless somehow you block from yourself the fact that God is the only author. So you must deny that in order to have a place, as insane as it is, to pretend authorship and to explore all of the interesting facets of it and what it means for you and what it means about you and what power it gives you over things, including your brothers and sisters and so on, you see? You can't possibly explore that in a believable way unless you deny God's authority and push it out of sight. Nevertheless, you, as the presence of God, are at this very moment being the movement of God that is conception/creation. And coming back into your right mind means becoming undefended to this fullness of your being, so that you are not denying it so successfully that you're somehow unconscious of it. You see? Okay, you must be careful when we talk about the journey home, because it implies that there is someone making a journey home. And quite obviously, you have to bring into play an intent to go back home. But the only thing that can successfully have the intent to return home is some part of the awakened one that you are that could never have been gotten rid of, asserting itself instead of the willfulness that wants to assert itself independently.
So that's our sanity with a capital S.
It is your sanity registering with you in the middle of your insanity. And so it would seem that there is an insane one getting more sane. But the fact is that it is the whole one that each of you is coming into a fuller experience of what it is in its wholeness. So it can be confusing. That's why it's so important not to get too focused on this one who is returning home and the dynamics of the trip.
It's just being divine movement. Because if we are in action as divine movement.
Yes, either consciously or unconsciously. And if it's unconsciously,
then we screw it up.
then if it is unconsciously, everything is already screwed up as far as your perceptions of the only thing to perceive go. And the only thing to perceive or have a perception about is the kingdom of heaven. Reality.
So going back to Michael's statement about positive thinking, what is that? Is that could what positive?
Every day, in every way, I'm getting better and better. It's a positive use of will, of willfulness, personal will. Yes. It doesn't really have anything to do with yielding to the only author there is. And that yielding to the only author there is the only thing that will uncover you better and better, you see. It's time to abandon clear, correct thinking as the means for getting home. And let this one clear thought be the bridge to getting home. And that one clear thought is, Thy will be done.
But doesn't sometimes Thy will be done come out in positive feedback to somebody, or a positive, if something awful is going on and you just sort of have this, you see that there's a purpose, or that there's got to be something, and it comes out like positive thinking or positive speaking? Oh, I'm sorry. Isn't that a natural
love? When you are in touch with the Father, when you are the expression of love, of course, the truth that comes out of your mouth, the love that comes out of your mouth, will always be affirmative.
That's what I was getting at.
Yes.
That answers it.
But that's different from putting together
by rote.
A string of words that are positive and thinking that by rehearsing that string of words, you're going to get better.
That's
because
phony.
That doesn't let God in yet. That's still personal, private authorship of the string of words. This whole book, A Course in Miracles, are positive ideas. Positive, meaningful ideas will always lead you in the direction of abandoning thoughts for the inspiration that God has for you. Truly meaningful words will help relieve you of the fear of abandoning control and submitting yourself to the Father's will. But that's different than a practice of positive thinking. Is that clear?
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you.
Yes. Continue.
The branch that bears no fruit will be cut off and will wither away. Be glad. The light will shine from the true foundation of life, and your own thought system will stand corrected.
There it is. The branch that bears no fruit. In other words, the thought system that doesn't result in creation. The thought system that makes rather than creates will be cut off and will wither away. Be glad, rejoice. The light will shine from the true capital F foundation, or the true author of life